I'm Jared Atkins. I'm the founder of Unbelievabuns slash Unbelievabread. Um, this journey, just to give you guys some context before we jump in, it started all the way back in 2005. I was really into bodybuilding, eating that bodybuilder diet, so grilled chicken, grilled chicken and broccoli, and so I'd just be asking myself, uh, well, let me back up. So as a bodybuilder, eating those same meals every day, um, week in, week out, we would give ourselves one cheat meal, and my cheat meal every week was a burger. So I'd be grilling my burger, looking at the burger, asking myself, why couldn't it be healthy? If I can make this thing healthy, I can eat it every day. So this went on for years. And then also at the same time is when the Atkins diet really took off. So people would come up to me, ask me for training advice, or they would ask me for diet advice. And then on the diet side, all these people would be like, well, what do you think about this new Atkins diet? And I would say, well, it's similar to what I do, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the end of the conversation, it would always end with them saying, well, I would try it, but I just can't give up bread. So I knew there were people like me that were in the fitness that wanted the protein, but also I knew there were other people that wanted to lose weight. So they were going to be into the low carb. So fast forward to 2012, literally every Sunday, I'm having this conversation with myself, and I decided I was going to do something about it. So I'm not a baker, and I'm not an ingredient scientist, so I go to four different bakers around Charlotte, ask them to develop the product for me. They all said they could do it. They were all full of shit. So, so January 2013 rolls around, and I'm like, well, if this thing's ever gonna get done, I'm gonna have to do it myself. Lots of trial and error, lots of research, 6 years to launch. Over 500 failed test bakes. So here we are. So what is the problem? 66% of Americans are either overweight or obese. 1 in 3 Americans are diagnosed as diabetic or pre-diabetic. Number 3, it's no secret that farming animals for protein is destructive to our planet, harmful to the animals, and expensive to the consumer. So we believe that we'll never fix these issues until people can continue to eat the foods they love, like burgers. And with Unbelievabuns, people can eat a healthy, guilt-free burger with all the flavor that they're used to. Plus, it won't spike their blood sugar, so it makes it safe for diabetics. And they can still get all the protein that they need because of the amount of protein in the bread. The opportunity, 62% of consumers are looking to add protein to their diets. 64% of adults say they are trying to reduce carbs. 1 in 5 shoppers say they avoid the bread aisle altogether. 80% of Americans are trying to reduce their sugar. Clean label, clean ingredients is in. We are non-GMO certified. And then number 5, this is the most recent trend. 12% of Americans are on a GLP-1 like Ozempic or Wegovy. It's a much bigger market than that. 35% are interested. So who are we? So we've turned bread on its head. So if you think about regular bread, it's 90 to 95% carbs, almost no protein. We are 90% protein, no carbs. So gram for gram, we deliver more protein than beef, chicken, and some protein bars. We have 0 sugar and virtually no carbs. Delicious. We've got top chefs using our product. We get hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews on every platform where it's sold. And we're, like I said earlier, we're non-GMO certified. So I kind of alluded to this part earlier. How can we make burgers healthy? That was my original thought. And then I started thinking about bread. When I started researching this, is like, why is bread so unhealthy? If you've ever go to the supermarket, turn that bread bag over, you can't pronounce half of the ingredients in it. It's all shit. So, what I'm trying to do is help people live healthier lives, look and perform their best, and all while eating the foods they love. And so what we've done is we've pioneered a way to strip out the carbs, replace with a bunch of protein, yet retain the flavor, shape, and consistency of regular bread. I've given speeches to the bread industry about this. I've been featured on several publications. And so we started as a direct-to-consumer brand. We've shipped over 15,000 orders. As you can see, people love our bread. These are all verified reviews. And so we did start with the bread bun first, and now we've taken that same dough and we've made all these products. The reason why we've kept the dough the same is because we realized early on that it's the hero. It doesn't spike your blood sugar, it delivers all this protein, and it still has the taste and texture of a regular bread. And so, why am I here? So you remember this from earlier. So if all these people want our bread, or say they do, or it appeals to all these people, why are we not a big global brand by now? We started in 2019, just so you know. And so our one limiting factor is awareness, or lack thereof. And this text message just came to me last week, and so I was like, I gotta throw this in a slide. This is from the COO of a small franchise sandwich shop. And as you can see, he says, with our new menu boards in Southern Pines, we're starting to sell a lot. A gym owner in town comes every day, and she's told her entire gym about it. Lots of repeat customers. So the ask. So how do we get this thing out there? And it all comes down to marketing. And we've tried a lot of different marketing things, and none of them have really worked, but we also haven't had the money to put behind it. So we're raising $50,000 from 3 to 5 strategic investors. The purpose is to fund these targeted marketing things and to try to figure out what works best. And then once we know what works best, we'll double down on that.
Thank you.
That was awesome, Jared. Thank you for leading us off. It's not easy to walk in and do this early or at any time. I was really hoping we'd have samples.
They do.
Yes!
Yes.
Okay, so then yes, please. I mean, a bread that I can eat all day long like this, I'm down. So I love that you opened with the problem statements, like even beginning with your personal story, so your connection to it. So you're in, you're invested, you're living the why. And then I love that you showed us what the opportunity is. It's a huge market that you're addressing. So as an investor, that's really exciting because, you know, you've given me a big problem statement and a big opportunity statement, but you're have a very specific and targeted lane as to how you're going to go into that. So I love that focus. Something that's going through my mind, I just question, how defensible is this recipe? How replicatable? I mean, you mentioned, I think 500 failed bakes, 4 different bakeries couldn't do it. So I'm thinking this is pretty tied down, but what's to stop somebody else from just a copycat brand?
Yeah, so in food, most food and beverage businesses are going to take the same route as Coca-Cola, which is you're not going to try to patent it because then it becomes public knowledge. So you keep it a secret. We've kept it a secret, and we'll continue to. I used to always say, if somebody wants to try to repeat it, go ahead, be my guest. It took me 6 years. You might be smarter than me, but it's going to take you a while. Now, I mean, without getting into too much of technical stuff, now technology in food has increased so much that a lot of these brands, they can just go to these ingredient houses and say, you know, they're making these enzymes that they can put in bread to put in high protein bread to make it soft. We didn't do that because it wasn't available at the time. We learned how to do it without it. So even the product, they can make a product that tastes and feels the same now, whereas 3 or 4 years ago they couldn't. That product still has a bunch of chemicals in it that the consumer's not going to want to eat. So they're not going to be non-GMO certified like we are.
So with that in mind as well, and the money that you're asking for, if this were to accelerate your marketing, your visibility, do you have the packers and the ingredients? Yes. And so that may be a position to include in the pitch is, we're looking for money to scale. This marketing is going to boost, but we have the resourcing to scale with it. Because what I heard a little bit in the marketing was like, oh, okay, this sounds like a little bit of experimentation with the ask dollars, but it's defensible by having some of these other avenues behind it. So that may be a note for next time, but I love that. Can't wait to taste it later. So I'll pass it on.
Great. Thank you very much for putting it together. It's not easy to kind of go up there and pitch in front of a whole bunch of people. I particularly also like how you kind of start with the personal connection, helps people visualize in terms of what's the genesis of all of this. A few things I would look at from a presentation point of view. I think it lends itself to be much more visual, right? So slides come in two different buckets. They're either things that are going to be sent and people are going to read, or the things you're going to present. If you're going to present, then it is about, we're focused on you speaking versus reading. So anything that's more visual, and I think what you're talking about lends itself to that a lot. It's almost like you're in front of like a little bit of an art show and you're getting people excited, because I think that's a big part. It's a very personal thing. I think it's a consumer product that we can all identify with, and so why not? I think, I think you went through a number of different milestones, but what I really like to see, and there's a lot of focus on how there's macro trends that speak to there's a lot of need for this product. What I tend to focus on a little more is the proof is in the pudding in terms of what traction have you had, where exactly are you, and what is this going toward? Like, what's the size of the team? Where are you? What is it doing? Blah, 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 blah. Because I also want to I want to invest in momentum, and I want to invest in traction, even at the earliest stages. So for me, seeing a little bit more detail there that gives me confidence of exactly where you are, I think is key. I think also from a raise perspective, this is very much, and I know this is a pitch breakfast, but like this is very much a few angel investors. So a big thing when it comes to angel investors is, yes, they want financial return, but it also is something that they're personally passionate about. So as you kind of look at prospective angel investors, it's like, who are other bodybuilders or who are other people which can connect with this problem, because they tend to want to invest in their passions. And so that would be, again, not in this format, in other ways, how you could seek out investors. There's got to be a connection, probably a personal connection first. And they also happen to be an investor.
So great job. I was really impressed that we got to the traction late. And was it 15,000 orders that I saw? 15,000 orders. I mean, that's great. I would maybe a little earlier in the presentation just let everyone know that, hey, you're established. People are making orders, right? It kind of sets the tone early that this is a real established company with real customers selling in market. Because us as investors, we hear people all the time that have an idea, or they have a little bit of revenue, or they're really far along, and sometimes it helps orient early. This is a real business, right? We got something going on here, and it dials people in. But I'm curious, when I see that kind of traction, right, and you people have been making orders, and then you have an ask for a more efficient customer acquisition, right? What are the metrics that you're seeing now? How are you baselining it? And maybe you can give us some information if you know. And the things I'm looking at are, you can get more efficient by lower customer acquisition cost, or a higher lifetime value of a customer, which means more repeat orders. Do you have any of that information that you're tracking right now?
So with some help from our mentors, we did a deep dive trying to figure out what the customer acquisition cost is, which is kind of tough to do because we're not doing any paid marketing. So we do a lot of, most of our traffic is coming from collaboration deals with a YouTube influencer, which, he gets a 10% cut of everything that comes through. And then also we took a look at new customers versus established customers, and it's, we use Shopify on the website, but it was very difficult to pin down, like, what exactly is this data telling us? We've kind of all dug through it, and it's just like, can't.
And sorry, I didn't mean to. But it's for you entrepreneurs that are out there. Even if you start with what you think a lifetime value of your customer are, so even look at your best customer cohorts. This is the repeat orders we're getting from this one customer. You can kind of back into what you can afford from an acquisition cost standpoint and set baselines on what you're testing against, right? And then as an investor, you start thinking about, okay, $50,000. If we were able to hit these unit economics, what would happen if it was 500,000? What would happen if it was 5 million? What would happen if it was 50 million? Is the market big enough to sustain that? And if you prove it on the unit economic level, I think you can scale a little bit better. So focus on it as early as you can and keep testing on the acquisition cost and the lifetime value. So, that'd be great. Anyone else?
1 minute.
All right, so
One question?
Yeah, we want to get a question from the audience.
So a question, are you ever going to go on the gluten-free route or anything around that? Because as a person who works out in that bodybuilding, like same aspect, right? Like there's another marketing experience. So have you experimented with that?
No, removing we joke that we've removed everything from bread. We can't remove gluten. We'll have air.
All right, with that, let's give it up for Jerry. Woo!